I remember with Sridevi, she used to look at my expression and she used to say, "You can say what it's not looking good, right?" I was like, "No, it's not looking good. I need to change it." So, but I think I see that spark in Janvi because I think she has that restraint as well, and her mother's gifted talent. And we also had to have that patience because उस वक्त ये नहीं था कि you've done something and it's going to come on Instagram immediately. The world is going to see it.
Of
So
course,
there's a lot of
yes.
your good work. If the films didn't run, they didn't see your good work.
Okay, look at him. Look at him. He's here. We have Mr. Manish Malhotra live. Thank you so much, Pelito, for joining today's live on Instant
Thank you so
Bollywood.
much. Thank you for having me on Instant Bollywood.
Of course.
It's Instagram which I follow very regularly. The world.
Of course. Thank you so much, Manish. I feel like, this is with me every day now because I feel because of Instant Bollywood, I'm able to speak to a lot of people in the public eye, a lot of artists and celebrities. But you were somebody who were definitely in my list of people that I really wanted to interact with, talk to. Again, me and my Punjabi parents were super hyped about the fact that aaj aapse baat hone wali hai. So very happy that you are here today.
Thank
I
you.
want to first of all start by congratulating you. Ladies and gentlemen, for all of you watching this right now, Manish Malhotra, it's been 30 years of him in the industry. Just, I don't know what all he has done. He's been creative in every field. It's not just design, it's jewelry. I don't know what else he want to do. I want to know if you could just tell us, how has it been in these past 30 years? What do you feel today? How are you feeling right now?
Well, honestly, it's well right now. What I'm feeling is that we are all under lockdown, and it's a lot of time to think. Before those 30 years, 5 years I worked as a model, and
Yes.
in the last 2 years of my modeling, like 5 years and 2 years, I worked in boutiques. In those days, it was a very big thing to work in boutiques, or a cool thing. So I was looking for a job in a boutique because I was very interested in clothes. And so 5 years went there, and then it's been 30 years in films. But वो कहाँ निकले, कैसे सब हुआ? I think that after 35 years, this is the first time I'm getting so much of time to introspect, to actually go
For
down
sure.
within and think of the moments, think of, and it's also given us an idea to come out with a book. Later this
Oh,
year, I'm going to come up
amazing.
with a book with my
We are all waiting for it. We cannot wait.
on my life and all the things. So I think it's as a child I was so fascinated with movies, so fascinated. मेरा full बचपन एक film theater के अंदर गुजरा है, and I think I'm really
Wow.
grateful to my parents to have allowed it. My mother was like, he's fond of movies, let him watch them. I think at that time she thought I'd probably become a hero, but I became a designer. And
Well, you could have totally. I mean, look at this face. I mean, we can totally imagine this being on the silver screen for sure.
so she was like very very encouraging, and I was so fascinated with it, and I was very very determined that I want to get into films, either as a director or as a designer, and do something that I felt which would change the way movies looked, because in the
For
late
sure.
80s the films lost its look, which was very predominant in the 40s and the 50s.
For sure.
60s 70s was phenomenal. So and that's how I kind of got into films, and I stepped into films in 1990 when I was 23. I'm 53
Wow.
today, and 30
Wow.
years I feel have flown. I think touchwood, I've been really busy. It's been very very
Yes.
hectic. It's the fourth generation I'm working with, so Janvi and
Amazing.
Sara and all the actors are the fourth generation. So this is my
Just tell.
introspection time.
Great, awesome. But tell me, Manish, like you also said right now that it was since the beginning that you were always interested in films, and I'll be honest, I feel like anybody who now, even today, it's 2020. I feel we are a transforming society in general. I feel design or being a movie star, let alone Mumbai. For a lot of even here in Punjab, it's a very unconventional profession. Like you are a designer, it's a very unconventional profession. Do you think it was because of the support of your family and your undying passion and fire to really bring about that change? Like you also said, it's a study. 60s, it was a predominant design in the movies, but then in 80s, it somewhere lost its face. So tell us a little bit about how your family's role in, you being this star that you are today. मतलब उनका कैसा support रहा, and how did you continue this fire for this so many years? It's been 30 years.
I think family का बहुत बहुत support रहा है. Even today, I have my brother who works with me, who's older than me by 10 years, and he looks into the complete account of it. My sister-in-law is like more than a sister to me. She looks after the stores, and my second brother, who's older than me as well, he looks after production. And one of my nephew works with me, my niece works with me. So I think the family support has always been there. This is about the business, which I started
For sure,
15 years
for
ago,
sure,
the Manish
for
Malhotra
sure,
label.
for sure.
But agar hum jaye there, but I was so fascinated by movies. I think my mother loved me so much. I used to cry only for films. Okay, I want to see this film. I've seen this film. I've liked it. Now I want to see it again. Now I want to see it again.
Amazing.
So I would give that complete credit to my parents for having allowed that, allowed that passion. And when it came to getting into films, they were for it. But when I told them about designing, my mother was completely taken aback. I'm talking about 1988, 1989.
Yeah,
And
that's
she was like,
back in the time.
there wasn't even a course for men in Mumbai. NIFT
For
had just
yes,
started, you know.
for sure, for sure.
And I was always somebody like, I was like, I'm not going to go to Delhi and stay with my relatives. I want to do something from Bombay. And I didn't have the money to go abroad and study fashion or come out with a collection. And Ensemble and these stores had just started. The whole designer fraternity had just begun. And I
Industry
was
had
like,
just begun, for
the
sure.
industry just began. So I was 19. I said, I haven't even traveled. I've never been abroad. I told my father that. And he said, you model so much, you save, you go. And I was like, okay. And then I kind of started working even extra in modeling, saving the money. And that's how I went to New York. And sorry, I went to Bangkok and Singapore because I wanted to see the world. I wanted to see
For
design.
sure.
I was interested in it. And when I told my mother that I'm working in a boutique, she was like, what is my son doing? I said, oh, but I also model. She was like, okay. Then I said, I want to be a designer. She was like, my son, what will my friends say? My son's become a tailor. I was like, you have to
This is the
believe in
mindset.
it.
Yeah,
I also
yeah, for sure.
modeled, right? So believe in it. So they were okay with it. They said, if we will go with what you believe in. Also, I think
For
they
sure.
saw my belief to be very strong. They also felt that this passion is very strong and they didn't want to come in the way of my passion. So I
For
think
sure.
I'm really, really grateful for them to having allowed it. But even if they had not allowed it, I would have really gone into it because I went very strongly for it. I think that I'm one person who I feel has loved films so much as a child that in return they've given me back everything from a career to a name to friends to associations to long relationships
Absolutely.
with actors that
Absolutely.
I've worked for so many years. So I think it's kind of it's also given me my label, my business, everything. So my entire foundation has been movies, and I find myself very unique in that sense in the whole map of Indian design and Indian fashion designers because I'm the only one who has basically come from the world of movies and managed these stores and a
Manage
label
these stores, of
and all
course.
of
This
that. So
brand,
it's
yes,
a very difficult. It's actually sometimes two different spectrums to
yes.
manage, and it's been tough. But when I got into films, it was not even easy in the film industry because I
I'm
don't think they
sure.
went
I'm
to a
sure.
designer asking them, "Okay, what is the script? What is the role? What's the makeup going
Yeah,
to be? What's the hair going to be?"
yeah.
They were like, "What is this? आपको बोला है that the girl has to look glamorous, but
बस कपड़े ला दो ना, कपड़े ला दो.
yeah,
Why are you getting into the
or
details?
they
Yeah,
should be sexy,
for
they should
sure.
be nice." तो उसको भी वक्त लगा when actors also realized. But before getting into designing, another thing I want to mention here is that I was very fond of painting. So my brother made me
Wow.
join a painting classes in the sixth standard, and I started painting a lot, and that's how I passed my science exams because I was very good in my diagrams. I was never good in studies, and uh, and so I when I worked in those boutiques, I used to find sketches and trace on them and really practice my
Wow.
sketching because I was like, I haven't studied designing. I must, have that skill of
Train yourself. Yeah.
sketch, train myself. And I would dress up the mannequin so many times that guy would say, the owner of the boutique would say, "But why are you changing this mannequin so many times and draping and pinning?" I was like, "No, I'm self-teaching. Sit with the
For
tailors,
sure.
understand why is this dark like that, why are you stitching that, observe them." I wanted to kind of
For sure.
form that foundation. And then so even when I got into films, I used to sketch so fast that people were quite fascinated कि अच्छा ये कुछ जो unusual बोल रहा है, maybe he can do it also because he's sketching it. So I think that
Yeah,
also
I'm sure.
got the belief of a lot of the actors. But it
For
was very
sure.
intimidating when I got into films because in those days it was not so
It was not so, it's
system.
chalan nahi tha us cheez ka, for sure.
नहीं, also कोई systematic भी नहीं था, and checks अगर आपके नहीं मिलते थे आपको, and then the briefs used to be very random, and aaj kuch aur hai, kal kuch aur. It was a big, it was confusing, it was intimidating, and the actors were also very good, but they were not. They're not like how today is like, hey, what's up? You can get into their van, you can talk to it. It
Yes,
was
yes,
very
for
like,
sure.
it was
Yeah,
very
you have
like
to
you
be.
can't
You
just
were
enter.
intimidated with the fact that they are almost untouchable. How do you approach them? How do you
Yeah,
go about discussing with them? For sure.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you know
So
what, Manish? I feel like you also said, what makes me really, really happy, and I think what really makes you stand out is the fact that you began at a time 30 years back, even when after you're modeled, that you actually had to break a glass shatter. Like you had to shatter the glass in a way that you really paved way for other people coming in your way, like who wanted to be like you and be in a position that you are. You actually paved that way. Because us time par, like you said, there was no system, there was no proper training. You had an on the job training. You literally did it and learned with your experience, which I think makes your work and your journey even more magnanimous us case mein. But tell me, in retrospect, if you look at your journey, what do you think made you stand out from the rest of the people? Even today, your relevance is unmatchable. The fact that you're still reinventing yourself, whether it's your jewelry brand that has come up now. You have done modeling, you've done painting, you have done designing. I mean, what else is left to do? Pehle to tell me, what do you think has made you set apart from the rest of the people who are your contemporaries?
I think it was my passion for my work. It is my passion for my work, sorry. It's also my passion for films. I'm very interested in storytelling. I was very
Wow.
interested with directors. It was not for me just the clothes, I've done my job and goodbye. I was very interested. How is it looking? Let's try this, let's try that. You know what? If it doesn't work, I'll remake it. So I never feared working, and I never feared working extra. I still date, never look at anything that I'm being paid this much, I'll only do this much. No, I will do whatever I have to do, and you pay me what you have to pay. That is what
Absolutely.
I looked at everything that I did and do. And I think that's what even the actors noticed, that he's interested and beyond,
So
and
it's
it was not to get and I never used the extra time to befriend them or praise them unnecessarily. No, I kept my relationships honest. If I didn't like something, I would keep quiet. And I remember with Sridevi, she used to look at my expression in the mirror. Now, hota kya hai ki I'm quiet, but my face shows everything. So something that was not working in terms of the fit, I used to keep quiet initially. And she used to say, you can say, but it's not looking good, right? I was like, no, it's not looking good. I need to change it. Or it's looking, you put on some weight. I need to loosen it. Things like that. So I think it was the pure love and passion that people noticed as well.
I'm great. And you know what? What is great is that you are somebody, like you also mentioned, like you've worked with four generation of people. And it's these, in your answer, what I could really conclude is that it's been a lot of hard work, Manish. Like you said, kabhi kabhi checks nahi deliver hote the. There were times that you had to work extra, and even आपको ये भी नहीं था कि I'm doing it for money. I want to do it because I want to really tell good stories. And your way of storytelling is not कि मैं dialogues लिख रहा हूँ, I'm writing. Your part is as a designer who's telling a story through clothes, through maybe the look of the actor, which is also a very solid fundamental of how the movie comes across, because it's a visual medium and the actor does have to look authentic to their character, authentic to the storyline, which I feel is absolutely amazing.
And we also had to have that patience, because उस वक्त ये नहीं था कि you've done something and it's going to come on Instagram immediately. The world is going to see
Of
it.
course, of
So
course,
there's a lot of
yes,
your good work. If the film didn't run, they didn't see your good work, right? And if
yes,
there's
for
an
sure, yeah,
alteration, and those days there were no assistants or anything. If there's an alteration in the
yeah.
night, in the fitting, and the shooting is tomorrow morning, I have stood outside fabric stores and said, please open it, or a lining store, please open it for
God,
half an hour. I can take the lining. Gone to the tailor at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, said, please, waiting for the tailor outside his store. He would come, cut the piece. I said, listen, this has to reach 9 o'clock. Things like that. But it's
things like that.
only passion. I think I must have worked 18 hours, 20 hours. So it's not,
Imagine.
it doesn't, it looks very, like today it looks like, okay, I'm with film stars, I'm here. But the base of it has been very full of hard work, full and full of hard work.
full of hard work. And I think it has reaped some very sweet fruits as well, Manish. I think the fact that मुझे लगता है कि I'm
Absolutely.
from Punjab, and whenever there is a Punjabi wedding, everybody and their mothers and grandmothers are like, इसने जो लहंगा पहना है ना, ये लग रहा है जैसे ना मनीष मल्होत्रा, like there's no other designer in our head. Like हम किसी डिजाइनर को अगर हम जैसे अगर एप्पल बोलते हैं तो हमारे दिमाग में एक रेड रेड कलर का एप्पल बनता है. हम जब डिजाइनर बोलते हैं हमारे दिमाग में मनीष मल्होत्रा आता है. You imagine that's the kind of impact that your 30-year long career has had over people across the country. So
No, also what I
congratulations on
saw,
that.
and I think that with each actor, with each time, there were new designers who came in. Now there's a whole system of stylists that has come in. And there are
Yeah.
so many young, fabulous designers who've come on board, and there are senior, wonderful designers. And I just feel that the industry has grown.
Yeah.
And that is such a good thing that today you have so many. Because I
For
remember
sure.
when I was the first designer to introduce styling in films, ki makeup kya hoga, look kya hoga, what will be
Yeah.
the haircut, what is because
Yeah.
so I want to change that whole format. If the character is from London or the character is from New York, so their clothes have to be
Accordingly.
shot from there. They have to be put
Absolutely.
together, altered, stitched, all of that.
Yeah.
And I think that became a norm. When I got into mainstream, पहले बहुत एक critical from my own fraternity ये था कि there's too much sequence, there's too much bling, film stars are walking on the ramp, or there are film stars sitting on the front row. And that they were never film stars to sell more clothes. They were film stars because I was working with them in movies, and they were friends,
Yes.
and that's why they would
Yes.
be there.
Yes.
Friends or work associates, and that became a norm from a showstopper to
Yes.
glamour, sequins, glitter, all of it in the clothes, to actors on the front row. And today, every single designer in the country wants film stars to wear their clothes, whether they're organic
Yes. For
clothes, whether
sure.
they're handloom clothes, whether they're glamorous clothes, whether they are, so I feel when I look back, I feel my conviction and my strong beliefs I've also held them on, I have
Yeah.
not
You have kept them going.
I've kept them going, and I think that I value relationships. And I said, no, I'm going to call actors who I work with to a show of mine, whatever the
For
fraternity went
sure.
have to say.
For sure.
And today it's like there's a whole thing called the showstopper, and there's a
Of
whole
course.
thing
Of
called the
course.
styling. So I'm very
Yes.
proud to have. I think that these kind of your what should I say, your conviction, or which becomes a certain kind of a trend, is a
Yes.
bigger award than anything else is.
It's the,
And
it's the biggest
and I,
it's the biggest recognition and reward that you've gotten over the
yeah,
years.
yeah. And as a whole, I'm so proud that there are such wonderful designers in our country who make such beautiful clothes, and we're all a part of one big industry. And me coming from, because generally क्या होता है कि with a designer they either work with a designer or they do a designing course. They start a label,
Yes.
and then it is the journey of the label. From me,
Yes.
from where I came from film theaters, watching films vividly and wide-eyedly, and got into movies.
Yes.
At that time, I never ever thought that I would get into a label. I would start a label, or I would have, a business of fashion, and I would get into having stores. And
Sure. Sure.
hota gaya, one store opened. I said, "Chalo, I'll juggle between films and this." Then it became no, the label is getting stronger. I need to concentrate on that also. So
Yeah.
every stage things kept changing, and here I am in the big map of Indian fashion where I come, but I come from a complete different journey, and I'm one of those few people who come from that journey. So I feel
For
that
sure.
it makes me feel special.
Also, I feel like, like you said, I also have this, like, I'm intrigued to know, like, there are people, like you said, who come after a proper training. They do a particular design course, and then they start their own label and they start their journey. Some people work under a designer as interns, and then they learn on the job. But for you didn't come from a design school. Like you said, it was purely out of watching movies, being creative, and now your creativity comes out in various ways. And there's been a metamorphosis of just not design, but like jewelry. And it's been years of rediscovering all that. And also, one most important thing that you also said, that you were never afraid to have a movie star or all the movie stars that you worked with in the front line, which also explains that your work ethic has been super honest and professional, that people didn't mind being associated with you, and such a long term association. So tell me, do you recommend a design course is what will help you grow, or what, it's the real world, it's the ongoing on the job training that will help you grow further? What do you think?
Well, I definitely think a design course will help. I definitely think a business management course will help. And um, and if there's a single regret in my life, that regret would be that I didn't really study. I wish I had done I wish I had that I had done a business course. I had done business management, or I had done this, plus I'd done a design course and all of that. And today, unlike at that time, there's so many courses, from
Yes, their
design
courses.
to
Yes,
styling to business
for
of
sure.
fashion to so many things. And I think that is very, very important and good to do. But eventually, anything that is creative, whether you're a artist who designs, who's a product designer, who's an interior designer, or who's a fashion designer, or who's an artist, painter, or an actor, I think, or a director, I think that eventually it is about your heart and passion and what's coming into your mind you know
For sure,
and I
for
think
sure,
for today, those days we had limited knowledge, limited information available to us, and limited resources. But
for
today
sure.
nothing is limited. I mean, everything is on your phone.
Like
So
your
today
father
there's no.
told you to save up money and then go to Bangkok and learn. Like
Yeah, yeah.
there were not enough
Today you
resources. Ki,
can
bhai, chalo. Yeah,
But
today
today
you
you
can
can sit in
really, yeah.
your house and look at Bangkok throughout. You
Yeah,
can
and you can
kind of,
have online classes. People do
yeah,
online master classes. That
yeah,
time, you really had to go on, work for
yeah.
yourself, earn for yourself, and educate yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I
imagine
think that
that.
so I think that today there is just, you have to be knowledgeable much more than maybe I was when I
For
started.
sure. For sure.
And I think that a course is always, an education is always good, you know. And but ultimately it's your heart, it's your passion, and
It's
your
here. It's where it comes from, the
willingness to
passion.
work hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Manish, also tell me, having worked with, like you said, four generation of actors, and you have had such iconic work over the past years that I remember the first time that I saw your work was in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Like that was for me the introduction because I am a 90s kid. That's probably one of the first movies that I watched in the theater जब मेरे को होशो आवाज भी था. And since then, whether it is your shows, whether it is any movie that you do, it has been just exclusive from the bheed. Okay? I want to know, out of all of these actors, which is that one actor that you feel like I've had the most fun just collaborating with?
Well, if there's, I mean, of course, she's no more with us, and I truly miss her. But for me, Sridevi was very, very important. She was the only actress who I called ma'am, and I still call her ma'am.
Oh,
And because I was so respectful towards her, she was already a top star when I started working with her, and she worked with me, and that really added to my career. And I think I learned a lot from her. She had a lot of knowledge about costume, about like small things, like like no lining in the sleeve, though it looks slimmer. The no gathers in the skirt. The lining should be cut in a certain way, so that in a song when you turn it looks like that. There was so much of the technicality of costume that I
and
learned
inputs
from
from
her.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she was wonderful. She was just absolutely wonderful, and I think she has in my career, I think, a very, very strong
Very
influence, and
monumental. Yeah.
also, yeah, a very big part.
Also, like, of course, मुझे लगता है श्रीदेवी जी का कोई comparison ही नहीं है, and may she rest in peace. But अगर हम उनकी झलक आज के किसी एक्टर में देखें, somebody who resonates a little bit with, like her, who's like, who do you think आज की generation के actors में से, who do you think, what, this person really has that spark, and I love collaborating with this person.
Well, I think Janvi has that spark. It comes from her mother.
For sure.
She has that restrained. See, also the time has changed, right? See, in
For
those
sure.
days when I started working with Sunny Deol, he would not really. He was very quiet. He was a
Yeah,
top
yeah,
star, and so was
for
she.
sure.
Devi, again, a top star, very quiet, reserved.
Yes,
They both were
yes,
wonderful people. They were so there's a different thing. Today, people are more out there, more talkative, more friendly. In that sense, in those days, the friendships grew with time,
yes,
with
yeah,
association, with long time, many
absolutely.
years of working. So, but I think I see that spark in Janvi, because I think she has that restraint as well, and her mother's gifted talent. And
Of course,
herself,
of
she's a
course.
very, very, I find her as an actor, as a person, very observing. She's very wanting to do better, wanting to work hard. So I see that spark in her.
Also, Manish, I have these two very, like, I'm really curious to know, and you are somebody who's had so much experience. I want your perspective on it. कि how like the movies have also changed. People, the kind of content that people are watching these days, whether it's online content, whether it's on the big screen, stories are being written differently. There are women characters now, women-centric movies. Up there are no more of women-centric movies. It's just a movie like women lead parts, led movies are also coming up. And Bollywood overall, the storytelling has changed. How do you think design changes and how you take up a script? For example, अगर आपके पास एक design का project है for a movie, how do you go about it? What do you get, like what do you refer to for inspiration?
Well, I feel everything a lot changes, but there is also something that never changes, even in the format
Oh
of a
yeah,
film that connects, or in terms of design, or in terms of our weddings that you see, constantly, because we're very culture driven, we are culturally very strong.
yes,
And I feel that whenever I'm working on a film, I actually, a lot of the commercial films that I did as well, where the heroines roles were just glamorous or pretty and she does that, I would try to work out a look. Like, I always feel all of us have a certain style of dressing that we really like we have
for
a
sure.
particular shoe that we like a particular t-shirt when we sleep, or a
Yes,
kurta, we like a certain kind of fit that we like. So I would
yes,
try to bring out that personality from in every character, that this character will only wear these kind of colors, or she wears these kind of cuts, or he wears this, that kind of thing. So even till date, I like to work on a look board where I feel that these are the references, this is the kind of person. So first is the kind of person where it starts from, and then
yes,
I take it to, for me, the humanness is very important. In fact, even with a bride or a bridegroom, when they say, they'll say, Manish, it's a Sangeet and we want to be super glamorous and all that. But yet there's something I ask her, what are you wearing? What are the other colors? I don't want to look
yes.
into the color. What's the jewelry that you're wearing? What's your hair and makeup? So I like to go a little more deeper in things. And
Which honestly, Manish, I feel like for people like us, हमें देखने में लगता है, oh, it's a look. But there's so much study, there's so much research that you do. It's like it's. I feel like it's another course that you're doing all by
so then
yourself.
you take it to the director. I also worked with wonderful directors like Ram Gopal Verma, Dharmesh Darshan, Aditya Chopra, Karan Johar. The list is endless. They were all, Yash Chopra, my most favorite director. When we did Raja Hindustani, Karishma was also very keen that her look
Oh
should change.
yes,
Dharmesh, the director, wanted her look to change, and we did a complete different look for her in Dil To Pagal Hai.
yeah,
Urmila's look in Rangila. So all
oh
the
yeah,
kind of, today when I work with different directors like Abhishek Barman for Kalang, my own nephew Puneet Malhotra for Student of the Year
wow.
too, or I'm working with David G again for Coolie Number One,
That's
for
Janvi,
Sara, or working with
Janvi के
Ananda.
लिए
So yeah,
Sara,
it's a
whatever.
different,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
they're different directors, they're different interpretations, and so you are hired to kind of give
Bring
a
in your
vision to the,
expertise. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
give your vision to the director's thought process, and then you get in your own, you discuss it with the director, the actor, and that's how it is. But I kind of like to go in a bit more deeper for sure.
Which is amazing, which is amazing. Also I feel like I remember reading this interview, watching this interview where Karan Johar said that during Wake Up Sid there was this bag that he was supposed to carry all the time, Ranbir, and you brought this bag. I guess I don't know if this is the right story, please correct me if I'm wrong. And they were like, this bag has to look rugged, so you literally had to like throw the bag here and there, make it look a little dusty, a little rugged. I don't know if that is the right story. But then and then, that entire conversation, he also mentioned how Manish has been somebody
It
who
was for
has been
Konkanas, yeah.
monumental.
I did Konkanas and clothes, I think. Yeah, and Wake Up Sid. Yeah, I did Konkanas, yeah.
And like also the bag that Ranbir is wearing in the movie. There was this interview I remember. He said that you got him this bag, and this bag will be his bag, and he had to literally like throw it on the floor, make it dusty so that it looks authentic to the character. And then he also said in the interview that Manish has been somebody who's been monumental in all of my films, and somebody who really takes interest into the character, the details, the storyline, the backstory, how this character will after 20 years might look, what is the current thing. So I feel like मैं कभी कभी इस चीज के बारे में सोचता हूँ. I'm like, I don't think a lot of people really pay attention, like a lot, but this guy, he's really putting in that hard work to make sure that the product comes out just phenomenal. And that's the reason, like, people in the comments are also mentioning, we hope we get to wear Manish's clothes someday. We hope to become like Manish someday, which I feel
Well,
is your success.
Karan is not only my close friend but also my favorite director. He's also very fond of clothes and very fond of everything. And I remember we were doing a song for Kalbai Alvidana Kena in New York, and we were there for a
All the
long time.
colors. Oh
Yeah,
yes,
no,
yes.
and that was one song, and there was the last song, which is a sad song, and there were 18 costume changes for Rani
Oh
Mukherjee. Finally, I
God.
told Karan there are no clothes left in New York. So, and he was always very critical about shoes, which I said, you're not showing the shoes, and I shop so much for them. So
Yeah.
there was, there's all of that, and yeah, so we've had some wonderful work association together, and a long one for that matter, and we still work together. Actually, for me, a lot of the actors also have had a long association with, because
Yes.
I think
Yes.
one other very important thing is that you can never get your friendship into work, you know, and
Yes.
I think that when you are at work, you are at work. In fact, I
Yes.
actually feel that when you're working with friends, you have to work even extra to make sure that
Absolutely.
it's even more,
Absolutely.
everything is more efficient. It's all there, and nobody should ever feel that friendship is being taken. So professionalism, I think, is extremely important, and that takes you a long way for whatever
Before,
you do.
for sure. Before we wrap this up, Manish, I have these last two questions that I want to ask you. The first one being, if really you had to give one piece of advice for all the budding artists, designers who want to be like you, who aspire to be you, आप उनको क्या advice दोगे?
Well, पहली बात तो मैं ये कहूँगा कि ask yourselves, do you really want to do this? It's very, very important to first ask yourself, be very honest to yourself. Work a
For sure.
bit, continue to draw, sketch, paint. Is it giving you that happiness? Is it something that's exciting you? And then dwell into it. So that discovery, I was absolutely convinced about it, you know,
Yeah.
and that's why I could take it on even much more and work those 18
Still,
hours
and still,
uninterrupted
and
and
still for
still
the next
working
50 years.
and still
Yes.
working.
Yes.
Thank you, and still working. So I think that is very important. I think many a times that we don't address things to ourselves, we address everything else. So I think that is
For
very,
sure.
very important to be honest to yourself, and then take that on.
I'm really happy to hear that. And I feel like to all of you watching this right now, I feel like if I could really conclude, I feel like I don't think Manish was lucky because he had to do stuff at the time where he really had to, like I said, he had to break the glass shatter. Like he really had to go in and pave a way for all of you who want to be designers. So kudos to you for these 30 magnanimous
Thank
and
you
to
so much.
further 50 more years of amazing success,
Thank you,
Manish,
thank you,
for sure.
thank you. That's damn sweet.
And
Thank you.
before I leave and before we wrap this up, my last question to you. You have said that it's been a great work ethic. It's been hustle and so much for that. It's just been hard work. There's been professional attitude towards your work all these years. What is that one thing that during your struggle or during your low times or bad times has kept you really going, or something that feel like it's a tattoo in your head, that this line or this thought or this quote I always go back to whenever I feel down, and this just brings me back up?
Commitment. I think that when I'm committed to something and I have given my word for it, it has to be done, and it doesn't matter whether the person acknowledges it or not, the world acknowledges it or not, but it's not, because it's a commitment to my work, and it's my commitment to what I have committed. So I think that for me, commitment is extremely, extremely important.
I think his word is his life. And Manish, I think that says a lot about the fact that 30 years mein, it's not just designing the clothes, it's jewelry, he's been painting, we never know, kal hum unko shayad movie theater ke screen par bhi dekh sakte. He might end up doing a film also. You never know.
Yes, also there are lots of times I would like to add here that in a lot of the relationships, like even when I started designing for mainstream, and I remember I was in London working on a film and running helter skelter, and then I met some friends of mine who do, whose clothes I design a lot, and so they were dinner were asking me, why are you doing all of this? It's not going to really make a difference. I'm not going to buy an extra sari because you're making so and so's clothes. I love your saris anyway. I'm going to buy them anyways. So why would you do this? So I said no, because I'm committed to this film already. And I'm already committed to the filmmaker, and I'm committed to this actor. I know it's not going to really add up to my sales in the store. That's a myth. It's not going to happen. They're two different things. But I have committed to it, so I have to do it. So I think that also I value relationships. There are lots of times now for actors when I do things, maybe a show costume or maybe something, I don't really need to do it. There isn't any profit in it, or it's not that it's going to add any brand value. But I feel whether they know it or not, whether they acknowledge it or not, but from my side, it is the relationship that I'm
You
keeping.
value it. You value the
I value
relationship.
it.
You
And
value
I'm
the
sure they
friendship. Yes.
also in their own way. So I think when you, and it's not about an actor or a client or somebody, even as a friend, if we, or as somebody, if you do something for someone, do it and let it be. You know, don't really wait for that acknowledgement back. And it's somewhere in the universe, it's noticed.
I think the fact that you've worked hard so selflessly and just for purely your own conviction and purely for your own satisfaction, I think is what has led you to be who you are today. And I truly believe that. I feel like there's been a
No,
lot
we
of
are
hard work and
learning.
this.
It's nothing like who you are today. I'm learning, I'm
Of
stressing,
course you are. Come
I'm
on,
thinking,
let's.
what is
You
the
cannot
next
be
thing? So
modest
that
now,
will
Manish.
go on.
It's been 30 years. I mean, it's time you accept it. Also, it's been great 30 magnanimous, successful years, and I
Don't be
wish
so
you more
catty,
for that.
30 keeps making me feel very old. But
Let's
it's,
not. Who's 30? 30 kuch bhi nahi hai. It's just the beginning.
yeah. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Manish, for joining today. Thank you so much for doing this. I wish you good health and happiness during this quarantine. And I hope you come out healthier, stronger, and we are able to see more of your work.
Thank you.
Also, the book is coming out. The book is coming out at the end of this year.
And
Manish's
yes,
book.
yes,
You
yes.
all should go buy it. Give it all the love. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. See ya.
Bye bye. Bye.
Bye.